here from Psionic Aftermath, and representing them, looking to close it out down here in the bottom right-hand side, it is Seth N.
In the top left, the Zerg player, the last hope for Taste the Bacon. This is Steven.
Why the air quotes for Masters, people were asking in chat. No, I was air quoting Ace Match, because the match gets played no matter what, and so it's like, is it really the Ace Match? Like, that's, I wasn't questioning whether they're Masters players or not, guys. I'm not making fun of them. It's fine. It's fine. But yeah, Steven's one of my favorite players. A bit of a psycho. Plays all races, just plays crazy stuff. Every game he just does weird things.
Yeah, indeed. Well, we'll see what he's up to here. I mean, he's already going gas pool. So, I mean, he's not mining from the gas just yet, but he is you know, going for the more aggressive, and I'm doing air quotes here as well, even though I'm off camera. More aggressive tech choices. I would have normally said defensive or pressure-based, but considering you mentioned that Steven's a madman, I'm going to go ahead and say it's an aggressive opening here for him.
Yeah, I mean, he's the guy who, not necessarily aggressive always, but always weird. You know, he'll go for your 2-base Ultralisk, your burrow rush and just burrow banelings everywhere. Like, you know, if he's Terran, he'll do planetary fortress rushes. Like, just anything that's kind of crazy and out there, Steven will do. But no doubt here in the grand final, Steven might play a little bit more straightforward, knowing that, you know, everything is on the line. So let's see exactly what Steven's up to. And big thanks, by the way, TX Boom Zero. So sorry I didn't see that sub. Must have been just when we were starting the cast. So apologies for that. Thank you very much. Welcome to the Pigsty. And looks like Steven just going to be scouting with these overlords. A couple Zerglings going across. This probe from Seth, just having a bit of a cheeky scout, having a look around, sees everything in the Zerg base, and says, hey, you stopped mining gas, which tells him doesn't really need to worry about fast roaches or banelings or anything like that.
Yeah, it doesn't have to worry. So one thing he can worry about is a Ling Flood, but other than that, he is good to go. Generally, a Protoss is going to want to lock things down before they get their third Nexus. Shield batteries and that sort of thing will be quite nice. A couple Lings get into the main here. So Steven is getting a look at the Protoss's main, sees that Twilight Council go down, which is a nice scout, and is being very annoying here, nibbling away at these probes, trying to pick off one at a time.
Good micro from Steven, just wasting that mining time is actually massive. Too many players get obsessed with trying to kill probes when they get Zerglings in the base, but just disrupting your opponent and delaying mining is actually usually more important and more reliable. Finally, the Zealot does clean those Zerglings up. These other two Zerglings are going to chase this probe down. Chrono Boost on the Warp Gate, and we do see a DT Shrine going down in the back. Checking out the APM tab, we have almost triple the APM for Seth N, spamming that keyboard here in this competitive situation, while Steven playing at a much calmer 120 APM. And always interesting just to get an idea for how quickly the players are mashing their keyboards.
You don't need a lot of APM to hold the Z button, Pig. You got a bunch of those coming in here, and they're getting one of those Zealots.
Nice play there. Gets the Zealot. The probes here, not much of a match for these Zerglings. More probes pulling down, but these probes have already taken way too much damage. Seth N trying to micro these probes as best he can, but even just this 8 Zerglings doing massive damage here, and Seth having a big trouble not having that early wall off, and not able to stop these Lings getting into the main base. Even more probes are about to fall here.
Damn, dude, that is getting up there in the probe kill count. 13 workers killed in total with not that many Lings being invested for this damage. Fantastic start for Steven, who's actually using this lead to go into Roach Tech and get that third hatchery down as well. It's 4/5 of the way done, 80% done here for Steven. I love his position, man. He's up 7 or 8 drones at the moment as well. Beautiful start.
Very nice way to start things off. I guess I could be a little bit critical that maybe this Roach Warren's a little bit too early. Like, this is so fast, and the drone count maybe could have been a little bit higher for Steven, but creep spreads out, Queen's connecting the third, you got detection up, you got a lair on the way, and you've just killed 13 probes. You cannot complain as Steven right now, whereas Seth, gonna try and get that Warp Prism out, pop a DT into it, and try to get across that map. Has one gateway. Yeah, only 2 gateways for Seth, so not really going to be able to make like 4 Archons or anything crazy like that. It's just going to be a DT and a Prism poking around, and maybe gradually go up into a few more DTs.
Yeah, layer going down here for Steven. We see it's 3/4 of the way done, so I'm guessing probably Roach Speed's gonna be the first thing he pumps out here. It's looking like Roach Ravager tech. I mean, even if he just makes a handful of Roaches, deal with the Archon stuff because it is one of the better tech options to deal with DT Archon with Prism.
Yeah. Roach's Overseer is going to be very good. 2 more DTs are warping in, but Roach is already out. Spores everywhere. It's going to be hard for Seth to find an angle to do damage, but looking at the work account, I think Seth just needs to stay calm and try to macro back up. Recover those probes, just keep the pressure up, but do not lose these units. If Seth loses this Archon, these DTs, then suddenly Steven is just free. He can just drone as much as he wants, spread creep, do whatever he feels like, but that DT taking a ton of damage right now. Good pickup from Seth. There we go, nice macro.
Losing that DT though means he only has 1 Archon to be able to build here. He has to warp in 2 more DTs if he second Archon. Looks like he's going to do that, and DTs are not cheap. So Seth putting more of his gas into this. That second Archon being morphed right in the face of Steven. Luckily for him, there is no Queen to pick off that War Prism. It's not in range of Spores. Archon getting a little far away from the Prism is going to pick up though. That's that range pick up on the Prism coming in clutch.
Those roaches were sitting idle in the main for a long time. Steven forgot about them. He'd positioned them in the main to defend the drop and totally forgot. So trying to micro 2 roaches and a queen against 2 Archons or an Archon and the DT, not nearly as effective if he just brought those roaches down. But in the end, he holds it cleanly, only loses a queen and a bit of mining time, has got plenty of roaches out, and can push this back. Nice pickups from Seth.
He is unfortunately quite supply blocked here, just making the Overlords now to deal with it. He's been stuck on 73 for a little bit, dropping the Spire now. Now, I think from Steven, a lot of people would think, hey, is this I think this is actually just to get a handful of mutas, just to make sure that the Prism dies, and then transition from there. But, I mean, I've always got that niggling voice in the back of my brain. I've got that little devil on my shoulder going, no, this is Steven. Pig said that he's crazy. So this might actually be a giant flock of mutas, so who knows?
It's kind of funny, because this is the most standard I've seen Steven play in a while, and he's a very smart player, so I think, he just seems to be trying to go back to a more standard play, especially since, they've played throughout the season before, PsiX versus Steven. He's got a reputation as the guy who's going to do the weird stuff, so maybe just going back to something a little bit more straightforward is a bit of a mind game. The Archon's going to come back in, look for some damage, but 1 Archon has fallen, so, Steven here looking healthy, has the 50 worker economy up, third base just now starting for Seth. And remember, guys, there is no blink, there's no charge, just a couple Stalkers and Immortals at home, and most importantly, no sentries or observers, so no way to scout that Spire in the back. There's just no way Seth can find out that that's what's happening right now.
Looks like Steven actually picked off another Archon here from Seth. So he just has the 1 Archon remaining in that Warp Prism. Is he going to commit to any air units? It just doesn't seem like it. There we go. All right. Steven. Yeah. He does have a big mineral and gas bank, so I wonder how many he's going to make here.
Supply blocked again. Steven, curse of the supply blocks this game, could probably be way ahead at this point after that early Zergling aggression, but here we go. Zergling counter going to swing in on the south side. I don't think that's enough to focus this Nexus down. Yeah, good call by Steven to back off there. That would have been a big waste of Zerglings to keep attacking. And you can see Seth here so paranoid, starting to create a wall off at the third. Really kind of panicked about the options that could come in his way, and Seth trying to do a further back wall off. I'm not sure if that's a tight wall. Maybe it might be.
I don't think it is. We'll see. I think the links can actually slip in around the pylon, but
yeah, I'm not
it
sure
looks like Steven wants to try
a movement blocker or not.
Steven's poking forward with 1 Zergling here to see how well defended it looks like he wants to try and hit 2 bases at once, which is a fantastic thing to do against the Protoss, especially because they have to decide where to put their units. It's a race that generally has, low unit count, but heavy hitting units. Speaking of heavy hitting units, that 1 Archon still alive in that Prism, trying to do damage here for Seth on the other side of the map. He has some gateways, not turned into warp gates just yet. He has a Templar Archives in the way, so it looks like he's going to go into charge lot Archon and Storm, which is great against Lingbane Hydra, but honestly, Roaches can kind of tank Storms. They're not too worried about that.
Yeah, as long as
the main thing that Roaches can be kept. Yeah, exactly. I mean, enough Storms will kill anything, but it's about proficiency. Now, Steven did make a lot more mutas than you generally see. It's 13 mutas here, not the 5 or 6 that you normally see for picking off a Warp Prism. And he could actually hit in 3 places at once here. He's closing the Zerg hammer.
Yeah. And at the same time, Zealot's warping in on the front. There's not many Roaches to deal with it. Seth is about to hit a big charge lot timing, but Mutas in the main. Zerglings hitting the natural, being held by the Zealot and the Shield Battery. The Zerglings on the south side haven't moved in, but the Mutas starting to do massive damage. This three-pronged assault doing very well. And oh, the Zealot pulled out of the wall in the natural, and the Zerglings got in there. A huge mistake from Seth, losing all the probes in the natural. At the same time, the Zealots are pushing in, but Steven pulling back to the natural and setting up a strong point of spine crawlers and roaches there, massing more roaches on the defense as well.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of immortals here, so not out on the... These Mutas might need to come home, because this is a lot here from Seth. He could actually base race Steven right now, and that's not what Steven wants. He wants to just win the game as cleanly as possible. This nice little SimCity with the spine crawlers actually delaying things a little bit. Seth losing his Archons, but the immortals and the Stalkers are still alive. The Mutas, where are they? They are still at third base. They're heading home now.
Yeah, good choice, I think.
Steven's got this.
He killed every single probe. Steven being so patient, he was like, I'm going to shut down every bit of your economy, and then I will come home. And look at the south side. We've got spines. We've still got a mining base. The spire already being rebuilt in the back of the main base as well, expecting to lose that. And these Mutas going to come in. Only a few Stalkers there. No money for Seth to warp in.
Yeah.
Nice plays here from Steven.
These roaches didn't even have roach speed, but they just don't need it. Seth recalls, but he has nothing to recall to. It's Ashes back at home for him, and that's going to be GG. And there you go. Does that mean we have a point on the board for Taste the Bacon?
Indeed.
Oh no, it's a best of 3.
So this is a best of 3, this match. So it's a bit weird. So I'm just going to keep the scoreboard as the best of 7 overall. So this next 2 games will decide exactly kind of what happens there, I believe. Or maybe that was actually the diamond.